Okay, I'm George, Truck Driver Nation, and what I want to do this video on, because now I'm waiting on my wife to get her whatever waxed. But the thing is, I want to tell you about these car haulers. When you're actually doing a car hauler, the way I'm going to just tell you my story about how I even got in a car hauling. I was doing dry van, reefer, flatbed. That shit don't pay, okay? And the other ones still pay good, but it depends on how you're looking at it. When I transitioned out of it, I had a friend, or guy I knew. I ain't gonna really say friend. I guess I shouldn't say that. But anyways, he had a 3-car wedge. 3-car wedge holds 3 cars, basically, and that's about all it's good for. You actually have to pack the bearings full of grease about every 3,000 miles, or you burn up the whole axle and the bearings. You know what I mean? So now you're paying to get that replaced. But anyways, I took a load from him. I think it was out of Denver, run it down there to Louisiana. And he actually paid me pretty good. I was like, well, damn, dude, I made $1,200 for throwing 3 cars. Don't take a genius. Those other car haulers hold more, and I counted them, was 9. I was like, so you're going to tell me I'm going to hold 3 times as much, which means 3 times the money. That's how it got into it. And I literally, as soon as I found that out, I found somebody that had a 9-car hauler, and he said, about me pulling cars, have I loaded them? Yeah. I've loaded a car hauler. It was a 3-car wedge. And they gave me the opportunity. I went and got the truck. Obviously, I knew how to drive 18-wheelers. Parked it out there in the lot, and that damn thing nearly took me 8 hours to load. I got it loaded. I was pretty pissed off it took me so long. I studied it real good on YouTube and whatever else I could find. Here, I'm losing my hair and everything. But by the time I got it squared away, that was my first adventure with car hauling. The things that you're going to need to watch out if you're going to actually dispatch these car haulers is understand what your driver knows. Because if he doesn't know how to load those cars and you're going to be dispatching those cars, you're going to be getting them off like Central Dispatch, which is basically like a load board, but it's for cars. And I think there's some more, but the main one everybody's always used is Central Dispatch. And now they've changed it a lot where it's got software where you can actually do the inspections, get pictures of the vehicles at certain angles. And whether it's any better as far as highlighting that given damage that's already existing on that car, I don't know, because you need ability to actually do really good photos. Because some of these people got hunks of crap, but they think their car is the most whatever of life. That's a collector, and it's just an old ratty car. All these cars end up in the landfill. But once you start actually dispatching these cars, if you don't have a driver that knows how to actually operate the equipment, because there's so many things that can happen. Those pins, when you lift up the hydraulic cylinders, hydraulic cylinder expands, so you got a rail that slides out of one rail, and as it goes above it, you basically kind of just letting it go above it, and then you pin it, and then you drop it down, and then that weight sits down because you've released the hydraulic pressure, and now the whole just weight of the frame in itself keeps that pin in. But now the pins do have cautery pins, or they got flip latches that actually go around them to keep them into place. But that being said, you got to make sure that your people know how to operate the equipment if you're going to dispatch them. Otherwise, you as a dispatcher, what's going to happen is they're going to damage cars, and they're not going to defend the situation. That's your job, to deal with claims. And in dealing with these claims, I always took my cars, once I learned how to quit damaging cars, I still damage stuff, but I would take them to the auto body shop where it was at, and I just go and say, look, I'm a car hauler, dude. I got a car here that's screwed up. I mean, can you fix it up for me so we don't see the damage real quick? And also learn how to cover damage. There's a lot of little tricks to this, but you're going to be negotiating. If they don't get that damage fixed, you're going to be negotiating between having the car and negotiating with the owners. And it's best to just go and get the car fixed before you return it to owners, because they're going to do insurance claims and all this, and a car hauler, the trucker himself, can't afford to sit here and have insurance claims. If he does, he's going to be out of business pretty quick. But anyways, that's the whole point behind me telling you about learning the dispatch. The best thing behind it is you're dealing with a lot of cash, if that's the way you're setting it up. If you're dealing with more than one truck, go and make sure, don't let them get the cash, because the way they used to let us do it, we could use the cash and then they'd pull it out of our settlement. But if they're going to you're going to do that these days, you just better make sure that it's only a certified money order, cashier's check, or do it by credit card. I mean, not credit card. If you do credit card, you got to have an authorization sheet. That way they can't reverse the payment out of there. But doing those 3 payments, or if you trust them, then get cash. cash is king. They can do however they want to handle the logistics of financing and taxes. Then obviously that would be beneficial if you're knowledgeable to that. But outside that, that's the whole thing behind this car hauling deal. I mean, if you want to learn how to do it, I can easily teach you how to actually be a car hauler dispatcher. And that's the reason it's beneficial, especially if you've been a car hauler, you're driving trucks, because you know what to expect. You know, basically, you got a 7-car, like a Cottrell 5307. You got a 5-car Miller. There's Sun Valley makes trailers. When you talk about Cottrell actually has a bunch of different versions. They have that. They have a 9-car, and they used to have 10 cars. But when you're talking about high rails gave you the ability to really tilt the cars at these weird angles, and that was all fine and good. But now that the cars are so much bigger, having a 10-car, you really want like an easy loader, because based on the truck or the van, like if you're doing a Sprinter, it kills that position. So you got to make sure that you're charging a higher price to accommodate using more than one slot for the given rate that you need to get to make sure that the car hauler produced the gross revenue that it needs to produce, just like any other truck. And then there's some stuff that you don't want to put on there unless you're putting it in the bottom, if it'll fit, if it's not too wide, because it really overstresses. It outweighs the actual the capacity for the hydraulic cylinders. Now, they do have different types of cylinders. You got a single stage cylinder and you got a double stage cylinder. And in those, the driver should understand the issues that come along with these hydraulic cylinders. But that being said, I'm going to kind of leave it there. So if you're interested in becoming a car hauler dispatcher, it's the same thing I do with teaching people how to be a dispatcher for regular drive-in, reefer, flatbed, step deck type of deal. You go to Truck Driver Nation, take a look at the content, and I can get you trained up. And I got connections with car haulers, so it's not as many as I do with regular trucks, but the owner operators with them. But I still do have access to that, and I can obviously show you how to get a hold of car haulers. But that being said, I hope this helped you out. Please get a hold of Truck Driver Nation. Hate to have to make it so short, but these things are timed. But I appreciate it. If you're interested, and I need to solicit my company, I got a way that I'm working out paying you for doing it by the month, leaving it on the trailer. It's like a sticker. You put it on the trailer of your 18-wheeler. Can't be a car hauler because there's nowhere to put it. But if you got basically like either a dry van or a reefer, then please get a hold of me and I'll pay you to put my sticker. I'll mail it to you and everything, and you can put it on there and I'll pay you by the month. But that being said, I'll leave it at that. I hope to hear from you at truckdrivernation.com. Phone number is 210-343-1118. I'm obviously George of the Jungle, so please get a hold of me and let's see what we can work out. Thank you so much. Everybody have a blessed day.